Hello and welcome to Zero Gravity Gaming's Lunar Division quarterfinals. We got muted. I had myself echoing, which is a tragic mistake. But we're getting right into the pro draft. With me, I have Axeman87.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm pretty excited for this one. It's my first time in the Gold League. Normally, I do the Platinum League for ZGG, so it should be a good time.
So we got Axeman, and in the booth we also have Cody hanging out.
Caw.
There he is, folks. So getting the draft, we got the pro draft underway with the first round of picking bands coming through. And so far, what stands out to you, Axeman?
Probably that Olaf band. I really like the band. Olaf is super strong right now, almost kind of a hidden OP type deal. I'm pretty sure everyone's aware of really how strong he is, but it just feels a little weird banning him out. I mean, there's just so many junglers, right? Zach, Sejuani, that you'd probably want to throw a ban to before Olaf, but I really like this one. I feel like there's just not a whole lot of ways to deal with a good Olaf where there are some counter picks to those huge tank junglers we see in the meta right now. Um, but other than that, I like the Rek'Sai ban as well. It's another strong jungler. And this Ornn pick as well. I think Ornn is big banned right now. Um, yeah.
Yeah, getting Ornn on red side honestly to me is not super common. I know he got nerfed 2 patches ago. You've seen his priority drop a little bit, but I think anytime you're drafting for scaling and team fighting, I feel like Ornn is just pretty high up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You pair the Ornn with a Yuumi, that Ornn's never going to die.
Yeah, so. And again, looking at the bans, it's interesting to me, the Trundle ban coming out. Trundle considered by some to be somewhat of a counter to Olaf. So I actually really like the Olaf as a reactive ban to the Trundle ban, kind of saying like if you're not going to either A, we see what you're setting up for, we're just not going to take a chance here. Graves coming out. That's something we've been seeing recently, especially after the jungle EXP buffs. What are your thoughts on the Graves being added into this composition?
I love the Graves pick just as a jungler right now. He's super strong. Synergizes really well with conditioning in the resolve tree. You're able to just get so many resistances stacked up so quickly that by the time it procs at 12 minutes, you're really huge and still do tons of damage. As far as the team comp goes, I like Yuumi Tristan. I think it's a very safe lane. So they're definitely going to be able to play pretty aggressively and still be able to make it out of a sticky situation. But to be honest, barring this 5th pick, which I think could bind it together, a good mid lane pick, it seems kind of disconnected. I mean, you have this Ornn, this late game kind of the team fight you were talking about, and now you have Akali and Graves who seem to be massive damage sources. Tristana not far behind them as well. So you got just tons of damage in this comp, but not much else going on for it.
Yep. So we see our completed drafts here. Picking up an assassin for Isolde, or he's known pretty much for playing those, as well as Rimsey being known as being a carry jungler of sorts. It looks like we have to remake Bobby. That is going to put a small damper on things. So we will be right back when that is all set up.
Do we need to cue the elevator music?
Yeah, the elevator
Honestly,
music.
if you can get some elevator music, I will unmute Rhythm.
Done. Going.
Perfect.
That's the good stuff.
That's why Cody's here.
I do want to say though, like at first I looked at Misfortune Nami. It's like, okay, maybe they can just bully the lane a little bit. And then I look at Mordekaiser, and it's like, are they just trying to peel from Misfortune? Like, a lot of this is just, I'm looking at it, and maybe just because I'm silver, but it's not seeming to add up on Puff Daddy's side right now.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like their comp is very team fight oriented, but an interesting thing to note that I think a lot of people overlook: Sejuani's hard CC is all single target. So
Exactly.
unless you're really looking to burst out one person, which is totally an option, I feel like their team fight's actually not that great because you just don't have that much lockdown for the Rumble Misfortune. And those are both alts that can be either flashed away from or simply ran out of. I don't know.
I mean, you got the tidal wave, right?
Yeah, but that's another alt that can be dodged. Like I feel like if they take a team fight and Without Equal has their flashes, like it gets a lot harder for Puff. Whereas Without Equal has a lot of right click damage, a lot of targeted abilities.
And I do also note
let me get
that
the invite to Axeman real quick.
their damage, I mean, yeah, it comes from Misfortune Rumble. But outside of that, where is most of the damage going to come from? It's going to be pretty easy to kite around the Mordekaiser at the very least. And they also have 3 very large damage sources. I wouldn't be surprised just to watch these guys just straight dive on Misfortune Rumble and just...
Yeah, and that's the thing, is you have... Tristan is pretty safe. With a Yumi, she becomes even safer. With an Ornn, she becomes even safer. The only person that's really going to be in the front line of this fight is pretty much going to be the Ornn, so...
Exactly, so it's like, can they burst down?
Oh, here we go. We are in Champion Select, so... I'm going to go ahead and flip the overlay.
I'll kill the elevator music for you.
Kill the elevator music. We'll kill the image of Puff Daddy and the Goons that I left in the bottom right-hand corner.
That was a long elevator ride, but I'm glad it's over now. It must have been like 100 floors or something we went up.
What, you never been to Tampa?
Yeah.
So, again, drafts. So let's talk specifics then. What are you guys looking at for who has the advantage early game?
Probably Puff Daddy. I mean,
You think Puff
you know,
Daddy?
just the Misfortune Nami combo is just going to be absolutely huge.
Yeah, that's a really obnoxious bot lane duo.
Yeah, that's going to be gigantic, and I don't really think Akali or Ornn are going to be making too much happen. Graves mostly wants to just farm up, I mean, and kind of get to that late game. He can have some pretty crazy ganks, but you know, I don't really think that would be the best. I mean, the solo laners are tankier, right? And then that MF Nami is just going to be huge, so I think Graves is just going to stay in his jungle and probably just try to farm up. And yeah, I personally don't have a whole lot of belief in Akali, so I'm probably going towards Puff Daddy with this one.
Remember, Akali did just get buffed.
Yep, that's a champion that Riot definitely wants to keep in competitive play, so keeping her afloat. And she is, to be fair, seeing a decent amount of play. Also, 31 viewers, not bad, not bad. Definitely like to see that. A lot of love for both teams here. So, and then when we hit the mid-game spikes, again, playing the hypothetical game here. So Puff Daddy has the better early game. So when they hit the mid-game, I guess actually a better question would be, how long does Without Equal have to wait for their comp to come online?
15 minutes if all goes perfectly. Probably 20 minutes is ideal.
Yeah, I think that hinges heavily on objectives, and with the Tristana Yumi probably not having priority in that bottom lane, I think, you know, Without Equal's probably going to be waiting quite a while. I mean, I don't see them getting a whole lot of dragons, but I mean, that's kind of just if everyone plays their role very well.
Yeah.
You know, it's totally possible that, you know, this Misfortune and Spooky Recon on Nami just kind of, you know, don't have a good lane or something like that. Once you get into the mid game, I don't think there's a super clear winner. It's pretty much a lot of objective based stuff. But for me, Puff Daddy still has the better team fight, especially in the bottom side of the map. So I think it still goes to them.
Yeah, I do really like the skirmish potential for an Akali and a Graves, with a big combination of mobility and damage, especially in fights in the river where you're kind of ducking and weaving different skill shots like the Rumble E, the Rumble Alt. I'm actually also interested to see the top lane. I've heard people on both sides of the issue in terms of Mordekaiser versus Ornn, where some people say that it's a 50-50, some people say it's Mordekaiser favored.
I can look up the stats on that real quick.
Okay. But generally speaking, I think Ornn is just always a good champ, just due to the free gold you get from I forget which one of the casters in Europe I think calls them ornaments, which I think is kind of funny.
Yeah, the Orn items. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a dead joke if I ever heard one.
So, oh,
Ornn versus Mordekaiser is, at least according to OPGG, because I'm too lazy to look anything up, it is pretty heavily favored on Mordekaiser's side.
okay. Yeah, people, like I said, the public opinion, I think it's probably Ornn players that say that it's 50-50, just out of pride.
But then again, I mean, if you're playing Ornn, you're probably playing one of the most just, I don't want to say overpowered, but the sheer utility that you give the rest of your team just by items. I mean,
Yeah, the free gold is huge, and we're also going to see that come through, especially on champions like the Graves and the Tristana that are looking to scale. Depending on the Yuumi build, if it's a AP Yuumi, I don't know if. How do people play Yuumi these days, Axeman? Are you up to date on that?
Pretty much 100% just the support route. You know, Dark Harvest Yumi's pretty much dead. You want to just stay on the AD carry and just kind of go along for the ride. If you're looking at like better Yumis, like high elo, the few Yumis there are, you kind of want to play off your ADC and attach them, get that shield up when they take damage. But most Yumis, I feel like, are probably just going to stay on the AD carry and just heal them and try to keep them alive.
speaking of all that, if, say, Yumi's on Tristana or whatever, Mordekaiser ults Tristana, does Yuumi go in there with them?
No, Yumi drops off and
Yeah.
stays where
It was
where
actually
Tristana was.
quite famously last season. I think it was in I think it was in the playoffs. I forget who they were against, but G2 actually picked the Mordekaiser bot lane as a counter to the Yuumi and ended up losing. I think it was Garen Yuumi, and they picked Mordekaiser into it, and they ended up losing that game. But that's the basic principle, is that when level 6 rolls around, you can Mordekaiser ult, drop the Yuumi. I think it was a Pyke support, because they picked something that could kill the Yuumi. So.
Yep. So that's that interaction. What I do like about the Mordekaiser pick is that he has a lot of good targets. You could all, like any member of this team, and it would be a good thing. I mean, if you ult Ornn, even, you're taking away their team's only tank. Any of the rest of them, it's going to be taking away a damage source. And I guess if you somehow ulted Yuumi, that would be bad, but you're probably not going to be able to do that, so it's not really, you know, an issue. There's just going to be 4 possible targets. They're all really good ones to take out of a team fight. So.
Yeah, I am actually curious to see how that 1v1 inside the Death Realm would go with the Graves as the game goes later, because he is pretty nasty in a 1v1, especially. I think the prevailing build is utilizing the new Death Stance and
Yeah.
a lot of the inherent lifesteal tools that he can have available to him.
Yeah, it can be pretty rough. I would definitely expect the Mordekaiser to pick up Zhonya's Hourglass, so that's something they could use to kind of survive through the ult. That's a lot of cooldowns you have to save just to get Graves out of a team fight, though, so you have to be really well coordinated with your team to make sure they're getting stuff done for that 6-7 seconds you're in the Death Realm.
Alright, so we're going to be getting ready to load in. Going to flip over to our in-game overlay. So I'm going to just go through, look at the masteries real quick. I'm always curious to see. So a lot of comfort on the side of Without Equal, at least going by mastery score, whereas looks like Puff Daddy and the Goons possibly drafting more so for team comp than for like a one-trick potential. And I do actually remember Rimsey, 10 Freaky Girls, playing a lot of Graves last season. And like I said, Isolde kind of known as an assassin player, so you're going to see a lot of him on assassins when he's in the game. Interesting Ignite on the Rumble. Was that, do you think that was just to have an Ignite on the team, or do you think he's actually looking to like try and get a kill or two in that lane early?
I think it might just be a misplay. I don't think, you know.
I don't really see a reason for Rumble to have Ignite, especially because like when the mid to late game hits, you can put Rumble in one of your side lanes, and his team fight is so important that you kind of want the TP to have him have access to fights on the other side of the map. So we'll see if that ends up being a factor. I do like the TP on Akali. I think the situations in which Akali can kill a Rumble in lane are few. So giving her that mobility, that ability to side lane. Fleet footwork on the Graves as well. seen people take Dark Harvest at times. I've seen people take PTA on occasion even.
Conqueror.
Conqueror. I like Fleet. I think it gives you a healthier clear, and I think when you're planning to skirmish, sometimes having more health going into the skirmish can be worth having more combat stats once you're in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's the reason for so much of Graves' build and how Graves works. You got this, the grid, and you want to be taking. Actually, I didn't check. Does this Graves have resolve secondaries? I would definitely be interested in seeing that.
Let's see, does he? Yes, he does.
Okay.
He is taking conditioning and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, taking that conditioning, just getting those free resistances at 12 minutes. You want to get as much of that as you can. Death Stance as well. You mentioned that's really going to play into the build. That was a huge buff for Graves, in my opinion. That's why we're seeing a lot more Graves. It's just the more resistances, right?
Pretty much. You guys remember when Graves was only a top laner?
I don't actually. When was that?
I remember it was like a couple seasons ago where nobody actually played him jungle because I guess
Well,
nobody could have used.
He was. I mean, when I started in season 2, he was predominantly played as ADC.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he was actually
I do remember the top.
He was actually the second champ I ever locked in. I tried Brand, didn't understand skill shots, so my friend told me to just play Graves because you could auto attack.
Didn't understand skill shots, so you were silver?
Let's see,
So-
were you gold 4?
Yeah. So
But,
again, looking at these
Heroes Division
matchups,
coming out predominantly from Without Equal. They're gonna get a little bit better tracking on I Am Bad Vibes. Not too much though. I don't believe they were caught out on that ward, but no level 2 gank for the Sejuani there. So just some good little vision just to start out. How do you envision this top melee matchup going? I know we looked up some of the stats on it, but a lot of people seem to express the belief that it's pretty close. How do you feel about it?
I think that a good Ornn can still make it a 50-50 lane, and then just add value by being an Ornn.
Yeah.
But because that's the thing is, Mordekaiser is a very linear champion. You kind of know what he does. You kind of know his trade patterns, and while there is room for skill expression, it's not as prevalent. Where I feel like Ornn has a lot of different tools available to him to kind of make the lane interesting.
Yeah, with the animation, resets, stuff like that. Yeah, Ornn definitely has a few more mechanics going for him in that department. To be honest, I feel like most of the kind of Mordekaiser's success into Ornn is really just what both champions are trying to accomplish, and they're going to be trading a little bit here.
Yeah, and we're seeing there that the grass proc
one.
combined with the brittle there doing a lot of work.
Yeah, and I definitely think 1v1 will win this one for the next couple levels because those brittle procs are just so insane. But I think a lot of the reason for why Mordekaiser has so much success.
Ooh, look at that trade. Grass proc with brittle again.
Yeah, no, another big one. But it's basically just that Ornn does so well into the late game scaling comps, and a lot of those comps tend to hinge on like one hyper carry, and Mordekaiser directly counters that, right? I mean, you just walk up, you ult them, and you get them alone for 7 seconds. So it's almost just the kind of.
Oh, they're actually pinging out for a collapse on the Graves here. Hopefully the directed camera moves over because I do not fully remember my hotkeys. Okay, Graves going to move into his own jungle, pop the blast cone, and move towards his Gromp. Like we said, Graves looking for just an efficient farming route. Grass proc going down again. 1v1. Getting a little feisty in that top lane matchup. Mordekaiser passive will be procced. Have to think he could actually time that out and maybe look for a re-engage if he really wants to get greedy with it. We'll have to see what happens.
Definitely could. Definitely options for both of these top laners here. I would love to see a jungler kind of notice the situation up on the top lane and maybe try and go react to that, but we do have that dragon come up in about 30 seconds, so I can't say I blame them for being the bottom side of the map. You don't want to let the enemy jungler pull the wool over your eyes necessarily. We've got I Am Bad Vibes here in the mid lane, looking to pull off a gank onto Isold. Might have a rough go of it here. Oh, isn't it good over
He's
the
actually,
wall?
yep, that's
Does a lot of damage.
a lot of damage, but the E will go wide. Isolde will end up blowing his flash, but will be able to make it out of that lane. Certainly going to probably TP back to lane here. It's going to feel good, still having that CS lead. Again, I think Akali obviously looking to do a little bit of scaling in this matchup. Try and get that,
Oh, here we go.
try and get that Gunblade rush.
We got 1v1 just barreling into enemy jungle. Yeah, picks up some of that deep vision. They did just build themselves a catalyst of eons there.
Ooh,
just a couple
looking for
minutes
the
ago,
re-engage
so-
with the E. Akali winning out big on that trade. Already seeing some of that power in the 1v1. And seeing how that advantageous back really helps, because that's actually going to be a minion wave, a favorable wave state for the Akali. Should be able to get that to push back in. I don't know if he's going to look for a freeze here, but that's what I would try and do personally.
Yeah, double amplifying tone was quite the advantage there, so easy to see how they were able to do so much damage. That dragon has since spawned about a minute ago now. Neither of these teams seem to be too interested in it, but both junglers here down in the bottom side of the map trying to get a little bit of vision control, so we might see a dragon play here in
Interesting.
the future.
Akali with
I'm
the level
Groot.
6, looking for the all-in here. We'll land the E. Rumble going to be forced to flash out. Good play by the Akali. Again, both top laners ticking over to level 6. Let's see how that changes 1v. However, Graves going to gank the mid lane. Rumble
might
has
be in
no
trouble.
flash. Q coming forward, going to look for the damage, not going to be able to find it. Tower aggro will be enough to dissuade Isolde from going any further. Graves will not have ult as well to drop any further damage.
Yeah, I'm Groot's doing well to not kind of fall out of this game. He's had kind of a bad go of it, getting a lot of damage taken from this Akali, and of course that gank there as well. But still keeping up in CS, only 5 behind now. We do have the without equal jungler just picked up that scuttle. Does
Yeah.
find I am bad vibes back in the jungle, getting a little vision.
And I like the way that he's playing too, because we talked a little bit about how Akali and Graves post 6 are looking pretty dangerous in a skirmish situation.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that he is pathing kind of aggressively, knowing that they just bully the Rumble around a little bit, being able to take that CS advantage for himself. What's great and what feels nice for Graves right now is you took the scuttle on the bot side and you have an entire jungle to go clear now if you choose to. Rumble actually putting down a lot of damage here. We'll land the second E. Fleet
Yeah,
footwork.
without equal did start up that dragon.
Oh, he's been on the
Looks
Drake the whole
like they
time. The
almost
Yumi's
got
actually going
it.
to walk down. I mean, Ocean Drake's not my favorite Drake in isolation, but I think
Yeah.
if you can get it for free, it gets you closer to... Oh, Rumble all going to come through on the mid lane. Akali going to E out.
Ooh.
Not going to be just out of range of the E. Iron Groot will not have the
wow.
flash. We'll see if he tries to W forward for a little bit of movement. However, the Shroud will come down. Looks like Akali's going to be able to walk that out. We'll try and get back to the minion wave to not lose too many minions. However, Mordekaiser going to get chunked out by a grass proc there. However, he will pop the shield. His passive will come up. He will walk it out.
Yeah, Dilly up there in the top lane, starting to feel some of that pressure. He hasn't backed yet, and 1v1 has already built a Negatron cloak here, so definitely massive item lead. If you're Dilly, you want to back, you want to do it fairly soon. You know, you might even lose.
Oh, looking for the all-in here. We'll land the E, we'll land the Q, we'll ult over for the first blood. And again, Rumble not quite respecting that ultimate cooldown. Going to see how 1v1 does with his all-in. We'll get the Brittle, we'll get the Grass Prod, we'll take him very low. We'll go ahead and line up the ult. Going to try and hit it. Looks like Mordekaiser will expend the flash to get out of the ult range. However, will also be bullied out by 1v1 and lose that cooldown. So solo lanes for without equal doing massive work here in this top and mid side of the map.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's got him. Wow.
We got him.
Wow,
That's a
huge, yeah.
solo kill. Flash grass proc on that one, and that is I know what the
That was huge, yeah.
stats said, but I also know what my eyes are seeing in this top lane.
yeah, my eyes do see a different story as well. I'm bad vibes trying to pick up the remains of that wave, and yeah, I think if you're Dilly, you really just gotta back. I mean, you gotta teleport. If you really need to get back in the lane, you know, super quick, you really want to deny a plating, you can. Personally, I think you just
I
back,
love
maybe
the
find
Abyssal
boots.
Mask rush here. That is going to make him
Yeah.
so oppressive in that 1v1.
Absolutely. I mean, he's practically unkillable in the 1v1 now.
It also gives Akali a lot more damage too.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's going to make them even stronger. I would actually, now that they have those solo... Oh, look. Oh, fight here bot lane. The Nami bubble will hit. Tristana going to be forced to flash out. Stun will come through on the Misfortune. Actually going to drop pretty low here. Tristana going to jump forward, going to get that kill. Going to jump onto the Nami, backed up by the Yumi.
Damage.
Big damage coming through. That's a double kill for the Tristana. This game quickly starting to look like a rout. However, the Sejuani ult will go down onto the Graves. He's going to try and alt and E back. Ornn going to get in there.
There's the equalizer.
Equalizer comes through. We'll see if it can equalize this fight as the Ornn is slowly burning down. However, Isolde is on the backside of that fight, trying to clean it up. Mordekaiser will go under tower to collect the kill onto the Graves. Akali going to ult over the Rumble, pick up the double kill. We'll have to see if we can get the chase down onto this Mordekaiser, but that is another fight going into the favor of Without Equals. They are simultaneously winning every lane at once, it feels.
Yeah, and it's 1-6 in the kills right now, about 5k gold lead. So, you know, pretty massive there. Or, excuse me, not 5k gold lead, 3k, something like that. But, yeah,
looking for the all-in. We'll get the
solid.
brittle, we'll get the grass. The shield's going to be expended early. I can't tell from the animation. Okay, he does have the ult now, so Mordekaiser going to be forced to back here. Did hold his TP after that last death, which will help, assuming he's going to TP back here so as to not give up anything more than he has to, which will give Ornn the TP advantage as well should they make a play around the rest of the map.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think you just walk it back here. I mean, you know, Ornn might clear it all the way into your turret, but, you know, teleport's such a long cooldown, and you're right, you really want to be able to join your team here. You know, so much of the strength in this comp is from those team fights, and if you're 4v5 in the team fights, you've practically lost already, right? So yeah, good on him for walking it back there. I really want to see I'm Bad Vibes go for this Rift Herald. It's definitely something that could help them get back in the game. This turret playing is going to stay up for another 2.5
Oh,
minutes
wow,
or
they're going to
so,
find
so.
the Nami there. I didn't see if the Nami was on vision or not. I'm inclined to say no. She will be able to walk it out. Misfortune E will help them get away, but that's a nice time to be taking the Blast Cone if you're Graves.
Can you set up the ejector timers? Somebody's asking
How do I...
It's N.
In?
Yeah.
Alright, objective timers are up. I was unaware. You learn something new every day, folks, and Puff Daddy the Goons learning it's not that easy to gank an Akali when she's that far ahead. Does have the double
My
buffs. We'll go ahead and
goodness.
just collect the kill on the Sejuani. She is just too big at this point. Ornn's going to miss the knockup. We'll see what the Mordekaiser does in the 1v1. Griddle plus Grasp is going to get him in that matchup, but Isolated Q will also hit. Ornn should be able to walk this one out. However, Mordekaiser taking a nice trade in the top side despite being so far behind.
Yeah, and it really is just a game of levels now at this point in the mid lane. Oh, Dilly might be going
Gonna
up
look for
down
the all
here.
in here. He does have the shield. We'll have to see if the Ornn
Oh, it's going to be close.
Can Ornn get the ult off is the question. He
Oh.
cannot. That's a solo kill going over to the Mordekaiser. Seeing the power of that passive. And again, my own personal feelings is I think Ornn in that situation needs to open up with the ult, understanding that if you layer your damage correctly, the Mordekaiser is in the kill zone. But that is all a conversation for a different time and a different place, as Without Equal goes ahead and starts up the Drake. Sejuani might be here in time to contest. We'll have to see if she tries to turn the smite into a 50-50. Bullet time over the wall will not get much done. Akali going to come in zone. Without Equal picks up the second Drake of the game as they get an isolated Infernal Drake.
Yeah, and I really don't like the bullet time there. I think that's kind of ever hopeful. You have to imagine the enemy jungler. Oh,
Misfortune
walks
gonna
right into the enemy.
have to see what happens here. Again,
This
not
Yumi
having the
ult is
bullet
massive.
time. The Yumi ult is going to be huge. However, Yumi going to be isolated. Tristana going to actually jump forward there. I suppose
Wow,
that
yeah,
was
Without Equal really living up to their name here.
Yeah.
Moving into the enemy jungle, just setting up, you know, commanding vision. They really concede the entirety of this bottom side.
Ooh,
Of the map
Mordekaiser with the aggressive TP in the top lane, feeling good after that solo kill.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is going to work out for him here. I think 1v1 might have this. He's running away. He suspects that there's someone else with him.
Yeah. My concern
And,
is that the Mordekaiser has got the Leandries, and Leandries combined with his passive does make him pretty nasty in the 1v1. We'll sidestep the knockup. That might be enough to turn the fight, as the shield is huge, denies a lot of damage. Ornn going to have to flash the claw.
Yeah, but Ornn also doesn't have that ultimate for another couple seconds. And then they will have that ultimate up. Dilly not far behind with the ultimate either, though. So this could definitely be very close. But I am Bad Vibes. Is up here on the Sejuani. Still level 8, so quite far behind, but still has some CC. There's the ultimate.
Well, it's
Wow,
going
they
to come
might
through.
have
They
him.
might actually look for the dive here. Looks like they're going to find it. That's a lot of damage coming through. Iron Bad Vibes will
here's
take up the
Isolde,
tower.
though.
However, Isolde coming in for the cleanup. Looking to collect the kill onto the Sejuani first. Will E onto the Mordekaiser. Going to dash across with the ult and
no.
just clean him up. That is some just clean mechanical plays. The Akali pulls ahead with a 6-0 lead in this game.
Yeah, not what you want to see if you're over on Puff Daddy. This is absolutely disaster. Monster Akali out here. 600 gold, 600 shutdown gold at this
Oh
point.
man,
So if they
okay,
do
well,
manage to pick off
let's
these gold, it's
looking
gonna
at
be
the bot
huge
lane.
for 'em.
Nami will flash out. Will land the bubble onto the Tristana, who will cleanse immediately. Gonna go down to them as well. Miss Fortune gonna try and walk it out. We'll have to see if she's able to get it done. I'm inclined to think no. However, we'll flash the Yumi. We'll flash the prowling projectile. We'll get stunned up by the ult. Might actually be able to walk it out here. The great escape by Miss Fortune, but it's still a kill over to Without Equal on the bot side of the map.
Yeah, it's something we really haven't talked about this Puff Daddy bot lane is the strut on Misfortune, also the passive on Nami as well. It's a very fast bot lane. It's also kind of an interesting situation that's come up down the bot lane. You have this massive CS lead on Alestia on Misfortune, but just so many kills and so much dominance from Velas. Do you have any idea why this is going so well for this Tristana? Because it seems like it really shouldn't be.
Well, the thing at Tristana and the way that one thing Velos will even admit that CSing has not always been his strong point, which is why you see the deficiency in the bot lane. But one thing he has always been good at as a player is knowing when he can go in. And I think you've seen a lot of that in this bot lane, especially with that first fight that ended up getting him the double kill. Was just holding the W for the right time, flashing the right skill shots, and just understanding what his windows of action are.
I think they know they're on Rift.
It's like they're gonna go check it out. I don't know if this
might get
is
stolen here.
Yep.
Yeah, actually steal it. That's
they
huge.
they do steal it. Should be able to collect. Or an ult gonna come through. That's gonna be huge. We'll end up
boy.
knocking up the Sejuani, helping him collect
was
the
it
kill.
worth it?
We'll have to see. It
Oh wow.
first thought is no. The wave will actually get flashed here. Slow onto the Misfortune. Aggressive flash by the Akali to dodge the wave while moving at the bot lane.
Yeah, almost.
It's
seemed
understandable when you're
quadra
7-0 to
there.
get a little hyphy, but that one might have been too much. You're gonna go ahead and
it
try
might
to
have been
brute
just
force
a
this
little bit
tower
too
now.
much there.
And that's going to be, looks like they're going to go ahead and trade the top and mid towers for possibly the bot tower. Not able to see the damage that the Mordekaiser's doing at this time.
Yeah, it's not looking too good.
Unlikely. Unlikely. So that is a 2-0 tower lead. Cloud Drake spawning. It will be Cloud Soul. Not exactly the strongest of the Drake Souls, however, it is a pretty nice one to have on it. The Akali especially, as well as the Tristana. I think all their champions actually make decent use of it if they can go ahead and pick this up.
This benefits pretty much everybody on both sides.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I was gonna say if there were a viable path to victory at this point for Puff Daddy, it's picking up that Dragon Soul. They got a lot of dragons between them and that, but yeah, having a 10% alt CDR every single dragon, that's gonna be huge on a team comp, which is purely ultimate based, right? So many giant team fight alts.
It looks like
huge for 'em.
I'm 99% sure that he meant to drop a ward there and ended up dropping the Herald. That's kind of funny.
Unfortunate play there.
That's tough.
Alright, chat. Press F to pay respects.
However, what I do
Here's the
like,
Equalizer.
Equalizer coming through. Yumi's not really going to be able to get out of there, I don't think. The Ignite's going to take her down. Tristana going to jump in and try to give the Yumi an escape route. Will not work, however. The Misfortune will go down to the Graves queue. Ornn dashing forward, going to hit the knockup. Akali on the other side of the fight. We have a fight on two fronts as I Am Groot tries to go forward and take down the Graves. Will not be able to do it. Will secure the double kill. However, Isolt on the backside, taking out the back. Oof, forgot how to speak. Isolt takes out the back line of Puff Daddy and the Goons all by himself, and that is all but one short of an ace.
That's pretty much exactly what they should be looking to do at this point. Like, they got the front line going after them. Akali's so fed, she just gets right on that back line and it's game over.
Yeah,
They
and
don't
that's
have
the
enough
problem,
damage.
is you have, I think she was 8-0 before that fight. There's an 8-0 Akali. You can't split the fight to kill Yumi
Yeah. Yeah, Yumi
and
already
give up
wanted,
your back line for that.
Yeah.
I mean, the
We even made a
Yumi has
point of
been
saying-
important in this game, don't get me wrong, but it's just a lot invested, and then Akali just gets free time to hit the Misfortune of the Nami.
Yeah. You have to put some resources towards those damage sources, and Yumi just isn't that, so.
If you just look at the gold lead on this Akali, she's got over 3,000 on the Rumble right now.
Yeah.
She is absolutely massive compared to literally everybody else in the game.
Yeah, she's up. She did opt into the QSS, which I think is a smart adaptation, just based on the fact that Mordekaiser can still try and ult you, and without your damage, those fights could become problematic. But in terms of Mordekaiser going to go ahead and flash, miss the claw. Thinking opportunistically there. However, Tristana's going to go ahead and go in. That's a lot of damage onto the Mordekaiser.
Yeah.
Might be able to find it,
he
jump
goes down
forward,
there.
looking for it. Will get it with the crit to finish. High on Velos will take down Dilly Dilly in the top lane.
Yeah, so the bit of a misplay there. You don't want to be
Especially
checking
walking forward with
bushes
no
or-
ult is tough as well. I feel like if you have
Yeah.
flash and you're able to flash ult the Yumi, I think that's a fine play, but
Oh,
actually,
okay,
looking for
here
the
we go.
jump forward. I like this a lot, actually. The stun will come out. Bullet time gonna be channeled. Nami ult will come through as well. Flash heal expended on the side of the Misfortunes. That's an ADC with no cooldowns, and I feel like it's important. There's a lot of fighting this game, but I want to take stock just based on the game state. Without Equals pretty much getting everything they want out of this game, but if you're Puff Daddy and the Goons, hypothetically speaking, what is your path back in this game?
It's just the wombo combo, right? I mean, you get all 5 members in a jungle corridor. You get equalizer, bullet time down. You know, the Nami wave. That's gonna delete a lot of their damage. You know, even being so far behind.
Oh, Rumble
that's
ult
really
onto
what they
3.
need.
Akali gonna walk forward, gonna go ahead, drop the Shroud, try to buy time. Ornal gonna come through, gonna have to see what they're able to do with this. Shroud will time out here shortly. Akali going in the midst of everybody. Actually looks to get taken down here. Misfortune will get the shutdown, but Bella's gonna jump in as Tristana, gonna look for the
could be
reset
it,
here. Braum gonna
actually.
go down. We were talking about win conditions, and I don't know if it was a full-on wombo combo, but definitely some mistiming and miscoordination here on the side of Without Equal in that team fight.
Yeah, it was a solid equalizer positioning. I really have to say Alessia, if they hadn't used that bullet time earlier and that kind of weird little skirmish with Velos and LeBram James, probably would have had it for that fight. I think could have done a lot more with it there. I really think you have to hold those abilities until you really know you're getting the most value out of them. But yeah, something like that is exactly what they need. Equalizer just does so much damage, as does bullet time. You know, if you can get those abilities onto this team, they're still pretty squishy. That's what you need.
And I would say don't look now, but the Baron is on the map, and the Cloud Soul is actually going to be on the map in 1 minute and 30 seconds. So we'll have to see. Obviously, I feel both teams will be contesting that highly, with Without Equal being on Cloud Soul point. Have to see what happens there. Mordekaiser actually going to walk into the jungle support duo.
Oh.
Graves with the Yumi is kind of disgusting, and that ult's going to come through and take down Dilly Dilly in the top lane.
Yeah, we had mentioned before the game that Mordekaiser didn't have a lot of bad
Ooh,
ultimate
this
targets.
actually, we'll have to see if the Akali is able to outplay here, as it is a 2v1 situation.
Oh.
Gonna sidestep the ult. That will be enough. And actually, I like this adaptation with the starting off the Drake with a 3-man. Gonna be a 4-man here soon. 10 Freaky Girls has gone ahead and completed the Death Dance. Combined with the Yumi, that would enable him to tank. However, the Ornn is here as well. That's a lot of damage. It will be a fairly slow Baron take, just due to how early in the game it is and how some of the key items haven't come through yet. But you have to think Puff Daddy and the Goons probably thinking about the Cloud Drake setup right here, and not suspecting that Baron at all, as they had no vision on it. So really smart macro play by Without Equal to be opportunistic.
Yeah, for sure, and they do keep Kali in the sideline as well. It still has teleport, right? We were saying I'm Group might have benefited a little bit more from teleport than Ignite. This is kind of where that plays in, right? They could have sent I'm Group to match Akali. As it stands, Isolde just kind of gets a whole bunch of CS for nothing, right?
Yeah. My one concern here is they did opt to take the blue buff instead of going straight for the Cloud. That will delay Soul Point.
Yep, it's gonna be close. Yeah, they do get that one, so that's gonna push
Actually,
that.
Akali should actually
Soul
look to
back
go in
5
here,
days.
and he will. Going to go ahead and start burning down the Rumble. He's going to go ahead and drop. Yumi ult going to stun up the Sejuani. We'll pop the Stone Plate, try and stay alive. Akali going in on the back line. That's massive damage onto both the Nami and the Misfortune. Misfortune going to go ahead and pop the stopwatch. Sejuani going to look to go down on the backside of that fight. We'll dash away. Misfortune going to get taken out by the Ornn. Pillar comes through looking for probably a probable knockup. Never mind, he will just drop. That is an ace for Without Equal. 24-7 with the Baron.
Yeah.
Death timer's not long enough to probably straight up end the game yet, but will at least be an end hit, maybe more.
Yeah, and to be honest, without equals so many resources, I feel like they might not be able to end here. But if Puff Daddy just comes running out and dies to them, they actually might be able to. As it stands, they're gonna back off.
Yeah.
Play it safe there. Probably a good play. But yeah, they lose the
I
Dragon
actually
Soul.
kind of think
gets so much more.
I think you made a really good point. I think they still have enough resources up on their side of without equal and such a lead. I feel like they could have actually tried to siege those Nexus towers if they really wanted to. However, they're going to make a proactive play here and go ahead and root out that top side of the jungle. Tristana going to go ahead and put some damage down. Rumble not going to be the best at clearing out these Baron minions. And now they're going to go ahead and back off.
Yeah, not extremely good for clearing. One thing I do want to point out, it's a little unfortunate for Puff Daddy, is that the closer without equal gets to their Nexus, the worse their comp becomes. They have so many team fight ultimates that are AoE. Those don't work very well in the base with everything is wide open. There's no terrain to work with. You could literally miss an ability and hit absolutely no one. So yeah, their comp is going to get super weak if they have to fight around these Nexus turrets.
So if you're Puff Daddy, how do you come back from all this then?
They want to fight earlier with a good Rumble ult in the jungle and just blowing up the Akali.
Yeah, again, that Akali shutdown goal would be huge as well.
That's going to be probably harder to do as the game goes on. But until that Akali has Azonias, I think she's actually still kind of vulnerable. I say kind of vulnerable because she's not that vulnerable, but at least a little bit. My biggest concern is we talked about how Puff Daddy had the early game comp, and the early game didn't exactly work out for them. And now you have a team that has an Ornn, it has a Graves, it has a Tristana. We see the Molten Edge coming through on the Tristana. Speaking of Graves, going to get ulted in by the Mordekaiser. I was curious how that 1v1 would go. We're going to see Conqueror procced on the Mordekaiser. 10 Freaky Girl is going to try and use the Fleet Footwork to stay alive, and will be able to. Ornn, beautiful timing on the knock up there with the pillar. They're going to look to siege down this top turret as 4. I love this. I love this split here.
Yeah, it's definitely going to work out pretty well for them, especially if they get this demolish off. Turret's going to be going down fairly quickly.
Ornn going to overstep a little bit.
Yeah.
What I wouldn't mind to see if they wanted to make a play under tower, I actually think a Ornn ult to zone them away from defending the tower might have been a better move there, but hard to say. Isolde actually going to go in there, going to go ahead and pop the Shroud, try to get out.
Wow,
We'll be able to ult away,
hits.
gets sniped out by the Sejuani, but holds the QSS for that exact moment. 10 Freaky Girl is going to go ahead look to take down the Rumble. We'll get his auto attacks body blocked, flash out. Yuumi ult angle is going to be incorrect. This might be the team fight back in, as Misfortune goes ahead and collects 2 kills, including a shutdown on the Graves. Mordekaiser's back up. Ornn on the front line. Tristana trying the DPS, but there's a definite chance for them to take this one.
Yeah, certainly. That was one of the better team fights they could have hoped for. I am Groot doing well to kind of play that equalizer off the only piece of terrain in the base, right? The inhibitor, and then that little, tablet-looking thing between the 2 inhibitors. That was pretty cool, actually, to see that, being able to play around those. But, yeah, Yuumi, I think, walked the length of the equalizer and was still alive, so kind of a testament to how much damage this I Am Groot is actually doing on the Rumble.
Yeah.
Definitely unfortunate.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We talk about their ways back in the game. They still have some pretty big team fight ultimates between Bullet Time and the Equalizer. And, I mean, Sejuani is considered to be a scaling tank. Definitely gets harder and harder to kill as the game goes on. And other interesting thing that's worth noting, at least to me, is that Without Equal doesn't really have any champions that build percentage health shred. So,
Yeah.
as the Sejuani and the Mordekaiser continue to scale into tankdom, I think you'll see the game. They would have a potential to become problems. Now, your concern is always going to be the lack of damage, especially if the Akali just does Akali things to your backline. And that's actually going to be Cloud Soul going over to Without Equal.
Yeah, so just more nails in the coffin for the Puff Daddy. And they
Graves actually going to dash forward here. Mordekaiser's looking for the ult onto the Graves, try and solo him out. We'll go ahead and burn the shield, but is actually getting burned down by the Graves. Akali going to ult into the backside of that fight, going to collect at least 2 kills here. Sejuani in the front line, scaling tank, not tanky enough. Going to flash out, however, will be followed by the Akali and eventually taken down by Velos. Without Equal should be able to run away with this one from this point. Massive knock-up onto the Misfortune, does have the GA, will be able to flash out. We'll have to see if that is enough. That Nami bubble, if they hold on, will have saved the game. However, that top lane inhibitor is going down. That mid lane inhibitor is going down, and they are moving on to the Nexus towers.
Yeah, and I still did well to teleport up to the top. Oh, might have a Lestia here.
Going back in, gonna try and burn that GA. Ambitious to be sure, not quite gonna get it. TP in the base, you love to see it. That should be the Ornn coming through. Gonna dash out. Nexus will go down, and game 1 will go to Without Equal as they live up to their namesake.
Yeah, they certainly do. It's such a commanding lead there, and with champions that were in, sort of a questionable comp, they're definitely champions that they're confident on, but not the most cohesive comp, I would say. The mastery over the champions kind of tied them over and got them through that game, but absolutely dominant.
Yeah, and again, you saw some flashes in the pan of the Puff Daddy and the Goons getting some decent fights in there. I feel like your takeaways is your bot lane definitely held up. Top lane got a solo kill, ended up not being that far behind in gold. Rumble was putting out DPS, even though lost lane kind of hard. So I feel like going into the next game, if you're Puff Daddy and the Goons, what kind of adjustments do you try to make heading into game 2?
I don't hate the comp necessarily. I think doing a little bit better job trying to get some better matchups for the champions might be good. Maybe a lane swap. Rumble and Mordekaiser might have gotten Rumble a little bit better of a lane. I don't think he would have died necessarily as much. I don't think he would have had a crazy lane against Ornn or something, but he probably would have been a little bit safer. And I don't think Mordekaiser was necessarily big part of their win condition, so I think that might have been better. In this draft, you want to try and get some flex picks up front. They had the Mordekaiser, which is pretty good, but they kind of showed that their command of Misfortune Nami wasn't really worth first picking the champions, so I think you might want to try and first pick some solo lanes. But the team fight comp was pretty solid, and I didn't hate the draft.
Alright, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and throw on the We'll Be Right Back screen and mute the broadcast, and we will be back with Game 2 when that starts up. We'll be right back, guys. Yes. Alright, Cody, play that. No, play the one you had queued up. That is not what we talked about. That's probably copyrighted. Thank you, Cody. Oh, it's good to know you can't keep your hands to yourself. There it is. That's my jam. I did not realize that RuneScape Mobile is now free to play. So it is. It was members only, and now free to play has access. One of my favorite stories in recent history. I was hanging out before the whole Corona thing with my girlfriend and one of her friends and her husband. I found out her husband played OSRS, and the girls hung out and the guys played OSRS on their phones, and it was a great time. There we go.
Shut up. Auto.
Mikado. So we have the Pro Draft live. They have not started it up as of yet. Do you have the link, Axeman?
I sure do. I do have the link. I am ready and waiting for the pro draft to begin.
Cool. So I have to see what adaptations come through as, honestly, if they don't ban the Ornn, I would look for a first pick Ornn on the side of without equal. You know it works for what you want to do. 1v1's already proven he can play it. Blue side, blind picking Ornn is more than fair if you don't trust the enemy top laner to properly punish you.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I've already proven that Dilly Dilly had a rough time with the Ornn. I also think another top contender would be the Akali. I mean, just huge Akali in game 1, right? I would have to say Puff Daddy needs to ban that. If they're planning on playing Rumble again, at least. You could try and counter Akali. I think that might be something worth doing, but it's pick ban in this series, I think.
Personally speaking, if Mordekaiser again, I would not be disappointed to see a Poppy come out. It's not quite like the Ornn in terms of like utility, but Poppy kind of shuts down a lot of Mordekaiser. She literally just ults him into his own, or not ults him up, smacks him into his own wall. She can remove the front line from the right, leaving them wide open. And she can also stop Sejuani from dashing in, so if you were to like slot it into what they were playing against, it would work really well, but that's yet to be seen, I guess. Plus,
To be honest, I would have liked to see Poppy instead of Mordekaiser last game because there was a lot of dashes on those champions. You know, talking about Graves, Tristana, Akali, Ornn, like literally all of the champions.
Pro Draft is live without equal. Gonna go ahead and ban the Darius.
You're still on the old Pro Draft stream.
Oh, I should have just switched it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see what I need to do here. I am, 1 second to fix this. Correct the error of my ways.
Yeah, so far a lot of similarities coming out. Puff Daddy does elect to ban out that Yumi.
Cody, can you play Sea Shanty from the RuneScape soundtrack?
Are you looking for 1 or 2?
Crap, which is the good one?
Yes.
Okay, play 1. If it's not the one I'm thinking of, we'll move to 2.
Okay. Hold on, I got 2 is the first one that came up, so I'll skip these 2 real quick.
Always has to be some sort of shenanigan with our stream.
Of course.
Absolutely.
So, in the meanwhile, Rakan Misfortune. I think the Misfortune definitely looked like a good pick. I think Rakan is fine. I think he just loses a lot of value when not paired with Xayah. Also going to take away the Graves.
Yeah, I'm not super in love with the Rakan. That's kind of
Into more Caitlyn, that's tough too.
Yeah, I don't think that was a great pickup there. They are also going to take Graves. So this seemed looking fairly squishy so far. I want to see some tanks here.
Oh yeah, this is my jam.
Last round of picking.
Just listening to you discuss draft over this is probably the most hilarious time of the night.
Yeah. They do get that Akali ban off, which is pretty good for them. So without equal is going to be missing their Akali this next game. They also banned away Yumi in that second ban, so I guess Puff Daddy feeling that that was a strong point for without equal in game one. Personally, I think it was not one of the best points, maybe not worth banning, but Puff Daddy feeling differently about that, also banning out Yasuo as well. What do you think of the draft so far introducing?
I really, really like Caitlyn Morgana anytime Rakan even tries to show his face. And I think that Rakan losing some of that added safety that comes from being paired with the Xayah is extra going to hurt here. Caitlyn Morgana is more of a snowbally lane. So the pairing, again, we saw the first pick Ornn on the blue side. I think that's intelligent. And also, what's interesting to note here, so that Puff Daddy and the Goons will get the mid lane counter pick this time around. Seeing the Maokai on the map with no Trundle ban makes me wonder if you just pick the Trundle and play for team fights here.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely could. I just feel like with Graves going in the jungle and then MF for Khan, I'm not 100% on the Trundle, but I definitely like the idea of just like camping
there's
this
the
Maokai and shutting
Wukong.
them down.
I actually really do like the idea of Wukong here. I think it'll be, you have an immobile ADC. You have, Wukong's just overtuned right now as well.
Definitely has a lot more tools, that's for sure. That is for sure.
I'm really curious to see what they're going to blind mid here.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
so LeBlanc.
Ooh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That
so
makes
there's a lot
sense.
of safety in LeBlanc, and then also, damage carry potential.
That's
as well,
also
so I
Isold's
think-
main. I'm a little surprised they let it through.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. If their mid laner mains LeBlanc, you definitely need to ban that. I mean,
Especially if he's
big
a
LeBlanc
known
and-
assassin player, and you saw what he did last game on the Akali.
yeah. I'm not really sure what was going on with the Taric Yumi bans. I'm not really sure those are...
Ibram is actually a sneakily good Taric player.
I
keeps going
believe
like
you.
that,
I
yes.
just, if it's between a good LeBlanc and a good Taric, I think I'd let him keep Taric and take the LeBlanc away.
Yeah.
But I am not 100% sure how good Ibram is on Taric. So
Another thing I want to look at as well this game is Wukong Graves mid jungle 2v2 is going to be disgusting. Now the interesting flex here for me is the tell them we're ready. I really want to know where the Mordekaiser's going. Is that the
Probably
LeBlanc
mid.
counter they're going for here, or is it going to be a Maokai mid with a Mordekaiser top lane into the Ornn? It could go either way.
I'm not really sure. I mean,
I don't love either of those matchups into the LeBlanc, so that's what kind of
Great
makes me
pick.
wonder about the Mordekaiser pick.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking, Cody, is maybe this Graves isn't going jungle. I'm not sure if that's crazy talk or what, but Maokai Mordekaiser as solo laners feels super weird.
We actually did see a Maokai jungle, not a Maokai jungle, a Graves top the other day. I don't remember what series it was, but it did pop up. I think it was Black
Yeah.
League, Logan.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
I don't remember. I remember seeing it because I dropped it on the stream.
I'm willing to
saw
admit I
Graves
spend a
top.
decent amount of time being wrong.
Oh, so good.
Oh, I as well. We have that in common.
Gonna look through the match histories real quick and see. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Logan,
it
it
just
looks
kind
like
of...
your stream froze.
What did I do?
Looks like your stream froze. Maybe it's just my side, but it's stuck on 15 seconds.
Oh,
I do stream
what
as well.
happened? Okay, we're good.
Up
I
there.
think I
There
think
we go.
that it won't update itself if I have the League client minimized. So I'll just have to sort of tab
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, so another couple weird comps. I mean, there's obviously the late game scaling from Without Equal. I think that's pretty solid. They had champions that they're confident on in the LeBlanc. I think this Wukong has a lot of power as well. So I like that comp as far as just like team fight synergy. I'm not super sold on it, so I think this might be more of like a split push, pick type comp where you just kind of get really big in solo lanes and then you just scale so hard that you just win. Um,
Oh,
Puff Daddy, uh, there's a lot more early game tools. That Misfortune always stands out. That's going to be pretty big in the early game, but the rest of the comp is kind of strange. We already kind of talked about it. The Graves, Maokai, Mordecai. I'm not really sure how they're gonna utilize these champions, what they're gonna make happen with them, but
okay.
yeah, the comp from Puff Daddy is kind of a question mark for me.
Oh,
We
I just
have
realized
Maokai.
I gotta switch the team names. That's
I was about to say that, but
my
I'll let
fault.
you figure that one out.
Hey man, sometimes I do notice things. Sometimes I don't.
Only
So
sometimes. That's why you're a good top laner, because you can just ignore everything and stay in your lane.
no, that's the problem. Is I die to ganks because I don't notice things like where the enemy jungler should be on the map.
That's why you just play Lowy. Anytime they come gank you, you just 2v1.
It's not a bad point, honestly. Sorry, I'm
Alright.
still trying to scarf down this chicken real quick, but looking at
Oh,
so
you're
we do
totally
it
fine.
is in fact a Mordekaiser top with a Maokai mid. I do appreciate the fact that I Am Groot is playing the the Tree Man champion.
Yeah.
I'm actually really curious. I'm not going to be able to get that accent mark, so I'll have to find it in the document. I'm very curious if he is actually a Maokai player, because that seems like something that you would only do if you happen to kind of pocket pick that champion inherently.
What, like much fight mid?
Yeah, I would have to say so. That or Ivern, right? And that would be a little strange to play that one mid right now.
Okay, well, we got I Am Groot. And Maokai is his second most played by a decent margin, but still second most played, so.
Please tell me his first most played is Ivern.
Yeah.
His first most played is Jin. Not seeing any Ivern, so.
Pro character. Oh man, reported.
Averaging 4 CS per minute on Maokai. And that's just high enough to not be support, but a lot lower than you want if you're in a solo lane.
Wow, this support has a lot of farm. That's our mid laner. Oh no.
Support has a lot of farm. Wow.
Hate it when
yikes.
that happens.
Yeah, you hate to see that one. So
I'm actually I am curious here because I think Maokai in general is a pretty good champion right now. My immediate concern becomes the fact that Graves and Misfortune are pretty much all of the damage you're going to have in a team fight. Maokai will have some base damage to offer. Mordekaiser will be able to do some of his normal stuff, but I just don't see how they win a 5v5 this game against an Ornn, Wukong, Morgana with a Caitlyn and the Blanc just waiting to clean people up as they drop low.
yeah, and without Equal kind of running it back with this comp that's just Ornn with a bunch of knives. I mean, there's so many weapons on this team, and then just Ornn, right? And it's really strange because like literally just made of damage sources. And then Ornn's in there to eventually make them, masterwork items.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy they got away with him in game one, to be honest. I mean, I really think they got through just by champion mastery alone because I don't think that comp should have worked otherwise. But
yeah, my dad joke was going to be that it's the Ornn of long knives.
yeah, the Ornn of long knives. Yeah, that's what it was. The Knight of Long Orns. But yeah, that's. Yeah,
Cody,
I definitely now believe
Q,
that they can pull
Q
this
sea
off,
shanty
but-
2 while we wait for the spectator delay.
I have something even better.
Oh boy, what do you got?
Okay. So, instead of sea shanty, I present to you the ultimate music for waiting.
I'm terrified.
Relax, it's not that bad. I mean, if it was bad,
I'm still terrified.
Valid.
Okay, it's actually not bad.
Okay, all right.
I'm in.
Solid choice.
I'm in.
Solid choice. I'm down. Thank you, Cody, for the mood music. I appreciate it. But,
So I want to go back to real quick, just discussing these two team comps. So who are we looking at to win the early game?
just based on team comps. Geez, introducing. I still want to say Puff Daddy, but like, we just watched game 1, so I also don't.
In theory, in theory.
Yeah. How are you feeling about it?
So hypothetically, your bot lane 2v2 should smash. Emphasis on should. Anything can and probably will happen in lower elo competitive play. You still have a lot of room for variance.
Lower elo. Gold is
Graves.
the top 30%, don't you know?
Yeah.
No comment.
Yeah.
We saw the Mordekaiser kind of
Seconded.
lose the early phase of that lane and come back in. I'm curious to see how that top lane matchup goes around this time, because if I think we definitely saw how Mordekaiser can win that lane.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to
Yeah.
see if he will apply those things this game, or if it'll be more of the same with the Orange just kind of taking control of that lane early. The Graves, to me, depending on the keystone, will kind of tell me what he's looking to do. But I'm inclined to say that any sort of mid-jungle 2v2 will probably go in the favor of Puff Daddy and the Goons, just because Maokai has a lot of base damage and a lot of CC, and will
Yeah.
be able to make it really hard to get to the Graves, who's just going to pump out damage, especially if he's got red buff on him.
Yeah, and he's going to build tank stats, right? He's going to have MR. LeBlanc's not going to be able to do too much to Maokai, right? Now,
Yeah.
LeBlanc has a lot of target access, so
Yeah.
I'm not saying the Graves is out of the woods or anything. Very much still in the woods, especially with the Wukong there. There's a lot of target access there, so definitely got to be careful of that one. But yeah, Maokai is definitely an obstacle in the way of Isolde on LeBlanc there. But yeah, up in the top lane, Dilly in game 1 had a lot of opportunities to really make that lane go a little bit better for themselves. And they were staying in lane for so long, having not backed yet. And 1v1 on the opposite side had like a Catalyst and a Negatron cloak. So like, just no way he's winning the lane, right? But he just would not back, and he actually died before he backed. So it was just kind of nuts. You definitely could have played that better.
Yeah. So again, just taking a quick look over at the Champion Masteries. Looks like maybe a little more comfort this time on the side of Puff Daddy and the Goons. Spooky Rakan playing the Rakan, so we'll be curious to see what he's able to do with that. I don't
think they have any experience on the champion.
It does not look like you switched over to the actual game yet on your stream again.
Oh, my bad. That is a rookie mistake. Go in game right here. We'll go ahead and switch the names while I'm thinking about it.
You just switched the names earlier.
It's a different overlay for the in game.
Oh right. I'm sorry.
We fancy like that. Or in reality,
Fancy?
we have a Prots, and he makes these things for me.
Speaking of, hey Prots, can you make the icons for the silver team?
Oh, that's a good
Maybe
point,
I'll-
actually. Prots, if you're in that chat.
Getting kind of sentimental, y'all. Not sure about the music.
Oh, I killed the music since we were loading in.
Oh.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
I'll
I will
build a bot.
also do that.
Sorry.
I was gonna
That's
try and do
kinda-
I was gonna try and do it on the low, but since he pointed it out.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Okay, so
But
hold on.
yeah. You seen anything weird as far as keystones go? Summoner spells?
Yeah, so the Wukong rework to me is interesting. Conqueror seems to be the rune of choice. I think that makes sense. Phase Rush on Graves to me is interesting.
It
I'm
did
trying to
get
think how that's going to be utilized against a composition from Without Equal. Maybe you're hoping that the Phase Rush will help you to get away from the Wukong. But
No.
even that to me seems... I just don't know where I stand on this one. Do you have any thoughts on the Phase Rush, Axman?
Well, it makes sense, and trying to get away. I mean, he's a ranged, but really only technically, so it's a little strange that they would go for that one. Normally, if you're a ranged champion, you take phase rush. You're right; it helps them, get away, kite back, stuff like that. The movement speed, but Graves has to be so close anyway to kind of proc it, I believe, and Wukong has so much mobility in their kit that I'm not really sure this is worth it for them. They also don't have resolve secondaries, which is something we talked a lot about in game 1. That was really powerful on Graves, so I'm not liking that one either. That said, if you do take phase rush, I feel like you kind of have to go precision secondaries, just for alacrity. I feel like you lose a lot of power if you don't take that.
Yeah, I
So
feel like if you go phase rush and resolve, you're just not going to be a champion early.
yeah, you won't have enough damage or just like the stats you need. So yeah, I'm not really in love with the phase rush here.
What I also appreciate is now we are broadcasting on the same level that the professional leagues currently are.
Yeah, the
Oh,
exact same level, but one little interesting thing to know: both these mid laners did take ignite, so not a whole lot of teleports in this game. Just the two up in the top lane.
yeah, and I think
How do you feel about
LeBlanc
that?
is rightly thinking about solo kills.
Yeah,
And one thing I've seen a lot from this team is without equal, we'll put Isolde in the side lane on LeBlanc especially, so that'll give him a lot of kill threat.
yeah, for sure. The sideline's going to be huge. And I think I'm Groot maybe being just a little confident with this ignite, feeling this is the main. I'm going to get solo kills too.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I do kind of
uh,
wonder if it's also just a we need an ignite, and he's just the one that has to carry that torch. But
gotcha.
we got some multiple disconnects coming in here, so we are going to have to keep an eye on that. Each team is allotted 10 minutes of pause time. Hopefully we don't have a playoff series get too scuffed as a result of that. So, level 1s, do we think either side, do we think this Morgana side invades here? Because I would kind of think so.
They definitely have that potential. But I don't necessarily think it'd be the best thing. I mean, the Rakan's gonna have some power there at level 1. Misfortune also a little bit of power. Maokai. So I don't know if that'd be the best play, but I think they do have the advantage. It definitely might be close. A dark binding is no joke though. So
Well, that's my one thought, is even if the Rakan goes in, he could just get bound and just completely chunked in a very short amount of time.
he certainly could, especially with this Caitlyn. It's a lot of damage potential in very very short amount of time. But yeah, I'm just looking. Nothing else seems too weird. Um, just that Graves. There is the exhaust on Rakan. I think that's probably pretty solid though with the Wukong jungle.
Yeah.
You want to be able to kind of
Also
slow down
interesting to
that
note
damage.
with the ignite being opted for on the Morgana is going to leave them with no exhaust on the side of without equal. However, I do feel like the ignite is necessary in the bot lane because I think Caitlyn Morgana is always playing for kills.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely. You want to lock somebody down and then just burst them with the abilities. So they are going to have a rough time if I am Bad Vibes can get off a good gank, missing that exhaust. But they're also fairly safe. I mean, you got the Black Shield, right? Traps to lay down, things like that. So I think it'll probably be okay.
yeah, other thing I'm kind of interested about as well is who the Black Shield is going to go on in these team fights. Is it going to be the Caitlyn? I'm almost actually wondering about the viability of putting the Black Shield on the Wukong so he can just run through that team uninterrupted.
Yeah, I would think either the Wukong or Isolde LeBlanc. I think Velas just plays back, plays the safe game. There's a lot of inherent safety on Caitlyn anyway with traps and E, all that good stuff. So
This might
I
be a
think you
stupid
really.
question, but can you Mordekaiser ult a Black Shielded target?
I don't think so. I think it just. I'm not sure if it takes the cooldown or not, but I definitely wouldn't let you do it.
Oh,
I think it
also,
might.
Cody, if you want to go ahead and put on some music for the waiting room.
Oh,
Yeah,
I just got back, but okay, sure.
we'll get the elevator music going. Goodness. Yeah, but I think it might soft reset the cooldown, put it down in like 10 seconds or something like that, but I'm not.
Music's going.
All right, let me unmute rhythm real quick, and we will get some background noise this this delay. Ah, boy. Well, what's a League of Legends stream without Silver Scrapes being played? Am I right, guys?
Silver Scrapes over technical issues.
Truly perfect.
Yeah. Well, let's do a drink check-in real quick. What are you guys drinking tonight?
Cream soda.
Cream soda,
Vodka.
Cody?
Meth.
Meth?
Meth.
Yes.
Liquid meth. Wow. It's pretty hardcore, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, this is awkward. I went to open a bag of chips, and the bag tore laterally instead of horizontally. You
Ooh,
hate to see it.
You hate to see it. Yeah, you gotta send an email delays, man.
Funny
That's,
story. My sister. She once likes to make some mac and cheese. Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Mac and cheese.
Oh, game's getting unpaused. Mac and cheese story in 15
We'll
seconds or
never
less.
know what Cody's sister did.
She went to go and make the cheese sauce, and they did not include cheese sauce. So
Ooh, that's
Oh.
brutal.
they sent her a complimentary box of mac and cheese. The priority mail. We have a priority mail box that held nothing but mac and cheese in it.
That's great, actually.
That's a good story.
That's what I call squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah.
Are seeing a potential invade come out of this year.
Yep. Morgana should be leading the way with the dark binding.
Oh, well,
And
the invasion
Ugh.
canceled.
Well, I mean, chancing the fact that Misfortune would run up. I actually,
Unfortunate.
that specific circumstance there, I would actually like to see the Morgana flash, like hold the binding and actually flash forward to try and threaten the Misfortune flash.
To
Just
be
simply
honest, I
off
think
the
you
fact
just
that
hold-
if Misfortune doesn't have flash in this laning phase, her life gets significantly harder.
Yeah, absolutely. Personally, I feel like you just hold the dark binding and just continue 5-man into the buff, and just because like you definitely have a high chance of seeing somebody else, right? Maybe a better target for the dark binding, and if you don't find any, you just take the buff. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Can I just comment on how nice of a skin the Darkstar Mordekaiser one is? Like, say what you
Pretty
want about
good.
the champion. But they
Can you
did
check on that
really
real
well
quick?
with the champion.
Where's the
Pretty good. He's
there
in
it
the
is.
bush right now, but
I mean, just Mordekaiser things.
Yeah.
Bush.
those energy effects are looking pretty good. Not sure if he's AFK. No, not quite.
I
Just
think he
waiting
wants
for
to
those. Yeah, waiting for some of those minions to get a little bit lower before he walks up to those.
That's a pretty cool skin, actually. I have Dragon Knight, which was an old 520, and on the new Mordekaiser it looks okay, but it's not as cool as some of the new ones.
Yeah,
So
I got that Infernal. So,
Ooh, that is a good one.
everything's
Yeah.
sort of hanging out, short trades.
Yep.
It does look like we have a little bit of a reverse situation with the vision, though. If you look in their both side jungles, for both the top and bot for without equal, there's pretty deep vision for both sides. They know that Wukong's going to be going pretty much everywhere at this point.
Yeah, and I think it's smart to track the Wukong. However, Brittle gonna go.
Dilly, not having a good time.
Maybe biting off a little more than you can chew. However, the passive will come through and sort of equalize that matchup.
That was a lot. Yeah.
I personally would have liked to see 1v1 turn around for one more grasp proc on his way out. I think it would have been worth it. We'll have to see what happens here. Gonna go ahead and pop one of his refillables. Also doing that little Ornn thing where you go refillable and save the extra gold for a better first item. Big trade coming through onto I Am Groot. Maokai has a decent amount of sustain, but until he gets a... Oh, hello.
Oh, bamboozled.
Good
Once again.
bait by the Wukong. Making use of that
Yeah.
new stealth.
Yeah, well played, sir. Well played. But it's that one off. He sold might be in trouble. Pushed up pretty far, but oh yeah, now they don't have mana either. So if I'm
Yeah.
bad vibes, I think you abandon the scuttle and just go and try and kill the block.
Well, the block's got the corrupting is the only issue. We're actually going to see a skirmish here on that top side of the map as Wukong's actually going to go ahead and get it. Dilly's going to get taken very low. Should fall here. We'll see who gets the kill. It will end up being the Ornn. Wukong going to stealth forward, going to continue looking for the graves here. Have to see if I can get anything out of it. LeBlanc over the wall with the chains. Bad Vibe's going to have to flash out. That's actually a great roam by LeBlanc, utilizing that mid lane pressure, and that's first blood going over to without equal.
Yeah, and pretty solid to pick up Nimbus Cloak there for the Graves. That's a really strong one for junglers. You just kind of smite something, you take off running, right? But,
Yeah.
didn't work too well for them there. Didn't do too much for them on the smite, but it looked cool. So.
Oh, we got a reflow on the action.
Style points, indeed.
Yep. Guardian proc down the bot lane. Spooky Recon won't have that one for another couple seconds or so. I believe it's what, like 45 seconds.
Morgana's walking up to go ahead and put vision on that bot side scuttle. Ornn looking for a trade. 10 Freaky Girls actually coming to the top lane. They're going to look and try to blow this game open through the top side of the map as Mordekaiser continues to get backed off. We'll be able to walk it out. Spooky Recon going to go ahead, get hit by the bind, and get hit by the Caitlyn Q. Without equal, really, again, 2 games in a row just pressuring all 3 lanes at once.
Yep, not looking good once again for Puff Daddy. 66 seconds on the Guardian, by the way. Just in case you were wondering.
You see what happens here. Oh, we'll tick over to level 4. With the wave coming at him, so probably all told maybe 2/3 of a level lead for the Ornn, which is nice, as well as a pretty decent CS lead. We'll have to see what Ornn can pick up underneath the tower. Trying to think of... Go ahead, Code.
Oh, there's an interesting bug. I don't know if it got fixed or anything. Sorry, people speaking in the background here. As it turns out, Rakan could try and do his little... I don't know what it is. Like, there's a feather, fey, or something to quill. The magic... It heals.
Gleaming Quill.
That if you use it across the map, you could proc Guardian. Like, if you were in bot lane, you could still proc Guardian on the top laner. And I don't know if it got fixed, but it was just interesting. This is reminding me of it because there's actually pretty much this exact same comp which I first saw this happen.
Huh. So, looking back at the action, Ornn will actually get the knock up here. Gonna look for the.
Oh, this could be big.
That should be a solo kill. Mordekaiser does have the flash.
He flashed into it though.
Flashing in a straight line, not always the best option, but will be able to walk it out. However, Ornn's just going to continue to grow that discrepancy in the top lane. It's going to make it even harder for the Mordekaiser to come back because last game, even though that early kill went over, it was still a pretty close lane in terms of CS. But Ornn with levels and gold is something you never want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Next back, I believe Ornn should be able to get pretty close to that Abyssal Mask. He's got the Catalyst, Null Magic Mantle, so
I think he.
that item.
Yeah, looking at the gold right now, I think he's going to need about 65 total CS to make that happen. Maokai actually get taken low, however the chain will go wide as he looks for that trade. Speaking of looking for trades, Ornn's just going to go ahead and continue to try and bully out the Mordekaiser.
That is so much damage.
Without equal, is going to go ahead and pick up
that
the
dragon as well.
Yeah, so again, without equal, just kind of winning all 3 lanes at once right now. The CS discrepancy in the bot lane really getting the 2v2 showing. Well, it has not yet produced a kill. Trade on the mid lane. Chain will go through. Bone plating up for the Maokai will help him. The CS discrepancy in the bot lane now going the other way. That 2v2, that lane bully 2v2 on the side of without equal, really getting the job done, doing what they were supposed to do in the first place here. So.
And they're doing fairly well. Not 100% sure this Rakan pick is going the way they thought it would, but you could really say the same thing about any of these picks. No one's really doing all that well for Puff Daddy, but they do have a lot of control wards, so give them that. Definitely trying to work that vision game. I'd like to see them convert that into some objectives. They lost that first dragon, of course, so but we got the Rift Herald coming up, so maybe they can find an in there.
And we see the Mordekaiser finally taking a trade on the top side of the map he can win out on due to the Ornn being pretty much out of mana. 600 gold in inventory. I admittedly don't know if that is enough to complete the Abyssal on his back. I don't.
Those two, he needs like 1,000 for it.
Okay. So.
Offhand, I think it's like.
Oh, he's staying in lane. He's probably going to try and turtle this out until he has it, which I think is a fine play, honestly. Damage coming down onto the Misfortune.
He doesn't have any more biscuits left, so he's got to be careful.
Yep, he's completely oomed himself here. Mordekaiser might actually look for the chase down here. Not going to see it. However, Bad Vibes only level 5. Will get chased down by the Wukong and the LeBlanc. Going to flash out. Going to get snared up underneath the tower. Going to get snared up again. Ignite coming through. Maokai going to go ahead and pick up the first kill of the game for Puff Daddy and the Goons, and getting back on the board here. Rakan going to actually go forward onto LeBron James. Going to sorely be missing that extra dash out range. Misfortune going to be the target that gets snared up, and therefore Morgana will have to flash backwards. Interesting. I feel like the Morgana binding should have gone for the Rakan in that situation because the Misfortune ult was already channeled. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think getting the kill on the Rakan is probably a good use of Dark Bind. I mean, it's not that long a cooldown, right? But there in the mid lane, he sold almost got into a little bit of trouble. I'm going to chase them down. Blue flashed actually to get the kill. Didn't quite get it though, so he sold mixed it out with their life. But that CS is even now in the mid lane. I Am Groot even has their own kill, so this mid lane going fairly well. If anything, for Puff Daddy, definitely not decided yet, I wouldn't say, but
yeah,
one of their more solid lanes.
Maokai should be able to make use of the double buffs as well, as he is a fairly mana-hungry champion in some respects. Actually taking a CS lead there in addition to the kill lead. Niche counter pick confirmed? Question mark.
Well, I think it's a fairly obvious counter pick. I mean, LeBlanc just wants to kill you, right? It's an assassin. And this is just a really big tank, so not quite going to be able to accomplish what they want to, but the key here is that Isolde just leaves lane, and that's what we're seeing now. You just shove the wave in and get out of there, because you're not going to make too much happen with the Maokai.
Yep. Also worth noting, the Rift Herald being taken on the top side of the map should go down basically uncontested. This makes me wonder if Without Equal will look for the dive on the bot side, having the Wukong here, and having another wave coming in on top of a cannon wave. I have to think that should be the play, but we'll see what they actually opt for. Rakan going to end up getting hit by the snare.
And a crazy update here. I Am Groot is actually in the realm and not Isolde, so...
Interesting. He does have the ult. We'll have to see what happens in this bot lane.
They don't see him yet, but they sense something. And of course, Isolde will be pinging that their laner is missing, of course.
So Wukong is actually going to find the Maokai, and Maokai will go ahead and use his snare on the clone. Mordekaiser are going to look for the all-in on the top side. Ornn going to go ahead and counter-trade with the Brittle and the Grass proc. That passive just doing work along with the Isolated Q. We actually might have a fight in this bot side here, as I Am Groot will go forward. Rakan Charm will go ahead and hit too. Wukong going to use his first channel of the ult. Isolde going to be forced to flash away, and actually getting Puff Daddy and the Goons actually bullying out Without Equal in this situation. High on Velos is there now. The Caitlyn is there, but also does not have a lot of mana. That's a nice pop onto the Rakan. Good skirmishing here. We'll have to see if they can make it out with their leader, if they'll be able to be forced upon by the side of Puff Daddy and the Goons.
Yeah, and just checking really quick, that MF does have bullet time up, so they were almost in range for a solid bullet time.
Speaking of kills, Ornn going to look for it onto the Mordekaiser. Just going to get it. No contest.
Puff Daddy does start up this dragon. This is going to be the first of the game that's also going to set back Soul if they can't get too many dragons after this. Push that back another 5 minutes. So definitely solid, even if they don't have a ton of objective control after this. And really, I think they're turning the game around. I mean, they're like 2.5k gold behind right now, but it's not terrible, right? You got the dragon now at this point. That's giving you some value. I'm Bad Vibes has Rift Herald in their inventory, and for another minute and a half or so, they can drop that at a turret and get some gold that way. So it's not terrible just yet, not insurmountable.
Look at the gold lead on Ornn though. He has just about a 2,000 gold lead at this point in time.
Yeah, wow, the majority of the gold lead is actually on the top jungle for the side of Without Equal.
And I just know you have a lot less damage than they did last time, so Ornn can very well just start running with the lead. Because if they can't kill him fast, then what are you gonna do to him, right?
And you did complete that Abyssal Mask as well.
Especially if it's Ocean Soul. God, Ocean Soul on Ornn is just disgusting.
Well, it is.
Soul. I mean, there's not a bad option, you know.
Well, it is Ocean Soul, to be certain. So.
Oh right, yeah.
And go ahead and actually leave the control ward alone. Interesting call there. Ooh, I wonder. Oh, there comes the Maokai ult. It's gonna miss. Morgana gonna actually not Black Shield herself
Okay.
in time. Exhaust comes through. Gonna just get cleaned up real quick. Mordekaiser on the flank. Let's see if he looks for the ult on the Caitlyn here. Have to think that's what he's gonna do. Caitlyn just not quite strong enough at this point to kite it out. Should just fall upon coming out of the ultimate. Gonna get jumped on there. That's a Maokai moving to 2-0-1. And this unorthodox composition by Puff Daddy and the Goons is starting to punch back a little bit.
Yeah,
It
it's
goes a
just
lot more
2K now. It was hovering at 3K, that gold differential, for a little bit, so they're getting some back. They're not going to get a whole lot of plating out of this Rift Herald, but they're going to get the tower, right? They might even be able to get a second charge off here, and that could be really big blowing open this mid lane. That's just so much map pressure, right?
10 Freaky Girls coming in here. Looks like he's just going to be on defense duty. Not going to look for anything too
Ooh.
aggressive.
Oh, re-engage, wow.
And re-engage coming through from the Maokai. Wukong ult's going to come through. Ignite's going to get expended on him. They're going to look for a takedown on the bad vibes. The snare will land. Ignite will tick him down. Isolde's going to end up coming back with the W, but is ultimately going to drop again to the Maokai. And Puff Daddy and the Goons actually threatening very much so in this early game.
Yeah, it's literally just like 1K now, and that's with Ornn taking that top turret, so...
so
Puff Daddy
much of the
really,
gold difference is on that Ornn.
yeah, closing the gap here very efficiently. It's you know, shrinking every second that passes, and we're seeing some big power spikes as well, and that's a big reason for it. The Spirit Visage on I Am Groot is absolutely huge. I mean, it's just putting in so much work for Maokai, right? Essence Reaver a while ago on Alistia, that's huge as well. So some big item power spikes kind of helping them get to the place they're at right now.
Yep, definitely. I will say one interesting thing to note: the Wukong definitely with a CS lead on the Graves, which is nice. Opting for Cinderhawk, I'm assuming that's going to be Cinderhawk Black Cleaver. I'm actually not familiar with what Jungle Wukong is building right now.
You know, so the newer champion, right, got reworked. I think there's still some wiggle room for experimentation, but I think Cinderhawk is pretty solid, just based on, you know, when you ult, you can proc that emulate passive, that can play into it, but you also just kind of need some health. Wukong's pretty squishy.
Yeah,
And Black Cleaver is just
I
kinda
do
standard.
like just going ahead and moving the Ornn down here, kind of just saying like, okay, we know we're still ahead, we know we lost some skirmishes, so we're just gonna move our gold lead to the side of the map with the objective we want.
Oh, there.
A big snare onto the
yeah.
Rakan. We'll see if they're able to chain it together. He is going to end up dropping 1v1. Going to go ahead and pick himself up a killing spree. Going to move to 3-0. Well, Blanc going to force out the Misfortune Flash. That still might not be enough. The bullet time comes out, however, will get cleaned up by the Wukong. That's 2 quick kills on the bot side of the map, and control back to without equal. I like the trade coming out by Puff Daddy and the Goons, at least understanding the importance of cross-mapping here for the Herald. With the Drake in 22 seconds, Misfortune up in 12 seconds as of right now. I'm not completely certain that the Drake is just going to be uncontested. Although it looks like they're actually just going to make a play to push down topside with that Herald. Looks like they're going to trade they're going to trade the Ocean Drake for at least 1 tower, maybe 2 if they go ahead and drop the Herald. This actually could be in him. Possibly. We'll have to see how this goes.
And I think it's a positive trade no matter what. You know, Ocean Soul is super good. But the thing about Ocean Soul is that later in the game you go...
Ornn's already back, and that is a no-nonsense double ult. Bad Vibe's going to get dropped immediately. LeBlanc going to go ahead W back. Mordekaiser's going to try and be able to get that kill. We'll have to see if he can or cannot. Ignite's going to come through. Ornn actually might get shut down here as he is focusing his fire on the Maokai, and his healing is just getting cut to bits by the Bramble Vest.
Dillion might be overstaying a little bit
Yep, a little bit of an overstay. Shutdown's going to go over to the Wukong. You do like to see that, as Wukong is a very strong champion right now, so that additional gold will be put to use.
Yeah, for sure. But like I was mentioning before the fight broke out, Ocean Dragons worth less and less as the game goes on. You know, health and mana regen not as important as the stat in the later game as it is in the early game. So if you can you know, give up an ocean drag to pick up a couple turrets like they just did, that's a great trade in my opinion. Especially when you're not getting them too much closer to soul. I mean, they only have 2 dragons, right? So they still got a ways to go before they can pick up that soul. So I think it's a pretty good trade.
Does Ocean still do mana, or is it just health now? I thought it was just health.
I'm not sure. It's
Oh, Rakan going to look for the engage here. Going to go ahead and walk it out.
Yeah, it's health, just health.
Gold lead is now down to less than 300 gold.
Yeah, so closer than it has been, for sure.
And it's
Yeah, that top side push put a lot of gold back in the pocket of Puff Daddy and the Goons, and I think their team comp provides some unorthodox but very interesting answers to what they expected from Without Equal. Black Cleaver being completed on the Wukong, you have to feel that is going to symbolize a pretty decent power spike. LeBlanc over the wall, going to look for an assassination onto one of those characters, so we're just going to take the W back, settle for a little bit of poke. Mordekaiser going to get some alone time with that bot lane tower. LeBlanc going to go try to clear it out. We'll have to see what happens on that side of the map. Maokai's going to go ahead and back here. Now, Mordekaiser will be able to collect this tower. LeBlanc, obviously not a champion known for her wave clear. Puff Daddy and the Goons are actually going to pull a gold lead off that. Going to land the claw.
Wow.
Going to go ahead and ult the LeBlanc.
Death Realm.
He was actually, I like that a lot. He was actually waiting for the W back. And I apologize for a little bit of lag on my end. Looks like the LeBlanc might be able to walk it out with the W.
Yeah, able to get out of that one, but yeah, and definitely not the wave clear on most Swiftlet champions, but just so much kill pressure that it's pretty good to have in the side lane there. I Am Bad Vibes on Graves has started up that Death's Dance. That's going to be a huge power spike for him. Just have the Vampire Scepter right now, but definitely want to see them picking up more of those component items as soon as possible. They have a little bit of gold in their inventory right now. They could back and pick up the Aegis right now if they wanted to, or the Caulfield's Warhammer, but gonna stick out a little bit longer. You want to play around this Baron right now.
And LeBlanc coming back for her revenge, and she brought a friend. Mordekaiser not with the ult, not going to be able to force that to be a 1v1. LeBlanc going to go ahead and grab the shot down. That is more gold onto that assassin.
Yeah.
Puff Daddy and the Goons, they're going to make the call for the Baron. We'll have to see how this one turns out as Wukong is in position.
Yep, they're going to force this fight. Wukong on the back line.
He's actually, Wukong going to go ahead. The Black Shield will go on the Wukong. Ornn going to get CC'd. Will be unable to use his ult. Shutdown going to go over to the Caitlyn. Flash ult by the Morgana with the stopwatch. I think the Rakan actually got hit by the snare on the back end of that jump, which is interesting. He will re-engage. He will also get popped by LeBlanc. Bullet time going to get thrown over the wall. However, Misfortune will be forced to flash to safety as Without Equal wins that skirmish and continues to look for a little more. TP coming in, and that should dissuade any further action as Mordekaiser rejoins the fight. Mordekaiser's just straight up, I think, actually looking for an ult here. Ornn's going to go right onto that Misfortune. It's almost got it. It will be cleaned up by the Ornn. LeBlanc over the wall for emotional support. Wukong going to jump in here, and they are doing some serious damage to that Mordekaiser. It feels like Without Equals comp is online. The base damage and the base stats that were used to kind of push them around early game are starting to fall off, and you're seeing some of that damage come through.
Absolutely. What timestamp were you at introducing?
Yeah, my screen's been lagging just a little bit. I'm currently at 233. What are you on?
Gotcha. I was actually in lockstep with you, so I'm not sure what happened, but
Are they really trying to take Baron right now?
Back to the Baron. Puff Daddy Baron, Dignitas Baron, maybe it's all the same. I think it's actually not a bad call because you do...
Yeah, no. This is a good call for sure.
Yeah, my only concern is they just don't take it very fast because they didn't have either of their carries there. Mordekaiser does have some percentage health threat. And speaking of not having carries there, LeBlanc is going to go ahead and just destroy the Misfortune on the other side of the fight as the Ignite ticks her down. They're going to hard commit to this Baron, however, they are found out. Ornn ult's going to come through, If that Graves is not able to win the smite fight, this will be all for naught. We'll have to see what happens as Baron goes dangerously low. He will win the smite fight. Wukong going to go in there with the ult. They do get it, however, it looks like the Mordekaiser and the Rakan will fall on the backside. They're going to at least walk away with 2 of the Barons, but I don't know. Is that a positive trade?
I'm not sure. I think it could be close though.
I think walking away with 2 members is probably fine.
Yeah, I think it'd be close. I like that they did it. I like the.
Yeah. I like when teams swing for the fences rather than just ceding defeat.
The attitude. I like the attitude of it. But.
Speaking of taking some swings, LeBlanc going to go ahead and dive in there. Misfortune with the bullet time to dissuade any further engage. And really, we really want to look for Without Equal to just take as quick of a reset here as possible. Because that Baron push will be coming in, and a lot of their resources are, in fact,
absolutely, but critical to note, Without Equal is on Soul Point now, so a dangerous place for Puff Daddy to be in. But yeah, I still like to play, you know.
Yeah, like we talked about.
Got to be careful now.
Ornn with Ocean Drake, Wukong with Ocean Drake, I would even think, as he is itemizing into that Aegis, and I believe Aegis is the new component for Death Dance, correct?
Yeah, yeah, it is. In fact, I'm Bad Vibes now has all. Had all 3 components for Death Dance, just backed and picked up Death Dance, so they had that item now. This is a champion that's going to have quite a bit of resistances for their archetype. They have 102 armor and 99 magic resist, and that's on the late game carry, so that's quite a lot.
And that's kind of the status you look for on Graves before you can really start to see him impact fights.
Yeah. You gotta have the resistances. You just get too close to people to not have those tank stats, right?
Yeah. So again, those 2 Baron, I don't like the fact that they're keeping both of their Baron buffs in the same lane. I feel like you could afford to put one in a side lane at least. But alas, gonna just go ahead and kind of stalemate that mid lane. I think, obviously, your next big fight is probably going to be over the Ocean Drake in 2 minutes, which is interesting how the setup is around topside right now. I wonder if Puff Daddy and the Goons are trying to bait Without Equal into something on this side of the map.
Yeah, I think they might be looking for a bit of a pick here. They're also just trying to extract gold from the map. We see I'm Groot up in the top lane, just clearing another wave. I think they might have been looking for some jungle camps, but saw some familiar faces instead, and maybe backed off a little bit there.
This little fight between the Ornn and the Graves looks like Graves will get his back up. Will go ahead and clear out that second control ward.
So they just didn't damage each other there.
So what do you think is going to be the first ornament to come out from the side of Without Equal?
Oh boy, just looking at him, I'm probably upgrading. Oh wow, okay, yeah.
Do you go Cleaver or Ludens?
I think I'm going Ludens. Yeah, I think I'm going Ludens. I think that just more damage on the little block. I think Cleaver is okay, but I don't.
It was indeed Cleaver.
Necessarily.
Alright, well, they're going to go ahead. The Obsidian Cleaver is going to come through.
Oh yeah, well there we go.
However,
that one.
Puff Daddy and the Goons actually stacked up as 5 in this jungle. Mordekaiser's going to maybe look to bait them in here. They understand how important this soul point is, and they're trying to get the right setup for a fight. LeBron James from over the wall will actually snare the Rakan.
Oh wow, and Orange's Blast Cone to the opposite side, so... Yeah, nothing too much coming of that one, but...
Yeah. Puff Daddy and the Goons also showing what I generally consider to be the importance of getting to the objective first, and why your reset timers have to be so on point. Yep. It's not to say Without Equal can't push them out, but for right now, this Dragon Pit is Puff Daddy territory.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you get entrenched, you make them come to you. It's very valuable, especially if you're setting up those team fight ults, that bullet time, right? You get to know where the enemy is. Interesting.
The Mordekaiser Claw will actually pull Ornn out of his dash. However, he is just going to get chunked by the. Wukong goes in with a black shield. Will hit the ult on 3. Will start the second channel. Gonna go ahead stealth, try to get himself out of there. The claw will go wide. Ornn into the back line. A lot of low health bars on Puff Daddy and the Goons. No one quite going down yet. However, it looks like Graves may be the first one to fall. No, it will actually be the... It is the Mordekaiser. Rakan will not have anyone to dash to. We'll have to dash under tower. We'll see if the LeBlanc has the damage to pick up the kill, but she does not. And look at the Ornn. Got both the carries by himself under a tower. Graves going to try and walk it out. Actually, Misfortune with a shutdown on the LeBlanc. A little bit of a misplay.
Oh,
and
wow.
Graves kites around the Ornn. You have to feel like they're actually kind of just baiting at this point. Oh, actually, I see. That's actually brilliant. I really like that. Never mind. The Ornn was just buying time for the Drake to be taken on the side of Without Equal. That's
Yeah, so
that
they get
soul
that
point.
Dragon Soul.
That soul
Yeah.
point should massively put the game in Without Equal's favor. I think Wukong, I think Ornn are going to make fantastic use of this soul.
Yeah,
I would
for sure.
halfway not be surprised to see Spirit Visage come out on either of the tankier members, just because it gives them so much longevity.
Yeah.
Whatever
Well,
the word is.
with Megatron and Chain Vest coming out of the Ornn, I have to think he's looking towards the Stone Plate. I don't think you can upgrade Stone Plate though, can you?
You cannot.
No, I think he might be looking to well, he already
Is
has
it-
the
I was gonna
items
ask,
he can
it-
upgrade. He can only
okay.
upgrade 2 of the items, but
Oh, I didn't. I was unaware.
I think he probably just built the Negatron cloak and is now just going for a Thornmail.
Well, Thornmail is
Just,
Thornmail is Bramble with Warden's Mail.
Yep.
Oh, Warren's Mail. Yeah, you're right. So, well, maybe.
LeBlanc actually going to go for it. Look for the assassination on the Misfortune. Both members going to get chunked out here. LeBlanc kind of playing with fire, however, not quite getting burned just yet. Going to land a little more damage onto the Mordekaiser, who has itemized heavily in favor of magic resist, and therefore is able to be less susceptible to that damage. Puff Daddy's just kind of continues to group as 5, and I don't know if that's their win condition at this point. Ult's going to come through on the high on Velos on the Caitlyn. The Mordekaiser actually putting through a lot of damage. See if he'll be able to walk it out. He will get shut down. Wukong into the back line. Not as many defensive cooldowns left. LeBlanc's going to fall off on the Wukong's damage. Going to take out the Misfortune on one side of the fight. Mordekaiser walks to the back. The second channel of the Wukong ult comes through as the Maokai is in the mid lane, just trying to do everything he can to stay alive. But there are too many people, too much damage, too many healing debuffs. He's going to drop to the Wukong. That's a 2-for-1 in favor of Without Equal. Bad vibes on the Graves, going to dash forward. LeBlanc begin massive healing out of that Ocean Soul and will actually be able to walk it out. And that is just the power of the Ocean Soul, even on an assassin, keeping the LeBlanc alive.
Yeah, it's huge, and this Baron's up right now. Without Equal really has a free play on this. I mean, any team can't do too much without bad vibes and without Brood at this stage in the game. So, pretty much a free Baron going over, for Without Equal.
Yep, no ult on the Mordekaiser. Not going to be able to do any shenanigans like possibly ulting the jungler and trying to turn that into more of a 50-50. Claw over the wall, going to be inconsequential. It is taking a little while to get taken down, but it will finally get picked up. And again, Puff Daddy and the Goons continuing to just group as 5 when they're really not winning these fights. I think it makes it important for us to look at what is their win condition at this point. Do they have one?
With the 5k gold deficit, I think it's probably pretty rough for them. They also lost that Ocean Soul as well, so things definitely not looking up. As far as just win conditions go, there's a 700 gold bounty on this Wukong, and that's definitely something that's going to help them if they can get that shut down. What about you, Introducing? Do you see any way they can win this game?
Oh, right now I see the Mordekaiser ulting onto the Wukong, and look, that Ocean healing with the Death Dance is just insane. It looks like Mordekaiser is doing negative damage. That's a big pick. I think your best case scenario as Puff Daddy and the Goons is you go full send and get the Elder Drake, and with the Elder Drake, you will might be able to execute some of these without equal members that we've been seeing. Oh, okay, got excited there for a second. You might be able to execute some of these without equal members that we've seen be taken relatively low and then come back on the virtues of the Ocean Soul.
I'm inclined to agree. If they get Elder, then it's just they're getting people low. It's just not enough damage to finish them off. That Elder execute will just
Misfortune ult to clear the wave will at least buy some time. However, that siege minion is left alive. Interesting, the block will channel the back. I actually didn't even see that split push by the Graves on the mid lane. Gonna look for it here. Could turn into an interesting fight.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're gonna name it though.
Not quite gonna get the tower. Looks like he actually will just get soloed out by the LeBlanc. Ornn ult comes through. I have to think that this is going to be the fight, possibly for the game, as I Am Groot is getting taken very low. Redemption comes through. We'll keep him alive for a little while longer. First channel of the Wukong ult hits 3. Big Mordekaiser Claw will actually hit up the Misfortune again. No kills being taken. However, the inhib is taken, and the Graves does fall down in that split push. Re-engaged by the Maokai. Big Mordekaiser Claw on the 2. However, Rakan will just drop here. Maokai trying to sustain. Misfortune will actually get that shutdown on the Wukong we talked about, but I Am Groot's gonna fall again. And you have to think this could be a push for the win here if they play it right. Double knockup by the Ornn. Huge play coming out.
Ooh, wow.
He is a tanky boy, however, he is getting taken low. Is actually going to have the flash. Beautiful flank by Isolde to go ahead, clean up the game, secure the Bud Light ace, and we're going to see if they can take down that tower.
That's a lot of damage from that LeBlanc. My god.
yeah, that had me stop for a second and see what just hit them.
Knockup's going to come through without equal playing with their food a little bit. Are they...
I think they just are having trouble finishing without hitting.
It shouldn't be that hard, right? Okay.
I think they definitely can, yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, they focused everything on LeBlanc. Ornn will need
The world's
probably
slowest insect?
5 or 6
not
autos
insect.
to get this done. Misfortune is alive, so you'll actually have some DPS to try and kill him now. You do have those super minions coming into the base. Stoneplate going to be popped, however, that is a full focus of 5. LeBron James will give him the black shield. It will not be enough. It is a Nexus
wow.
tower with...
Wow.
that's pretty funny, if I do say so myself.
He probably autoed that like 3 dozen times.
Yeah, Nexus is down to 700 health, but multiple shutdowns. 1v1 calling in the chat box for some Ornn buffs.
Yeah, definitely need some Ornn buffs to get that one.
It is of note that Ornn has Thornmail.
Yeah,
That
got
counts
that
as
Thornmail.
damage to the other team, so if they even attack him, he'll be healing for that.
Ooh, really? Off of the Ocean Soul?
Yeah.
Oh, this is actually the win con that we talked about, though, with the Elder Drake, if they can get it. I would not be surprised to see 10 Freaky Girls try and turn this into a 50-50. However, it looks like he might actually just look for an assassination on the Misfortune. However, Puff Daddy and the Goons will pick up the Elder Drake. Misfortune will fall. Looks like the Wukong will try and walk it out with the second channel of the ultimate. Bad Vibe's going to be taking Isolde low. They got him with the Caitlyn ult. And, oh, Ornn for the backdoor. He TPs into the base. However, the Mordekaiser will try and stall him out. Will not get done. That is a backdoor by the Ornn. That is a 2-0 series victory to Without Equal. Any dreams of a comeback squashed. Without Equal secures top 4 for themselves. Moves on to next week's matchup in the semifinals of Lunar Division. That one was a little more interesting than game 1, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. No Ornn buffs for you, by the way.
Ornn backdooring is the last thing I thought I would see tonight.
Yeah, really. Ornn backdooring with the Ocean Soul.
Oh, is this the post-game
so
interview
massive.
with Ebron?
I guess so, dude.
All right. Walk me through that. Walk me through that time when the Ornn hit the Nexus about 15 times and only dropped it to 700 health.
Okay, yeah. So we have the Ornn right here to talk about it. I'll talk about it from my perspective.
Can I actually ask a question first before we do this?
Oh,
Can you
okay.
explain why Fellows died to tower and severely ran.
He was watching the entertainment just like the rest
Yeah,
of you.
does it look like we know what goes on in Velos' mind, dude?
I mean, he already can't CS, so.
Cody, your support. Stop talking about CS. Stop it.
I expect my ADC to know better, and Velos was my ADC for like 2 seasons, so he doesn't get a free pass either.
No,
They
yeah,
won the game
I was
like
mad at
60
him
CS down.
for. Then again, like we did give her misfortune, and misfortune is like I think is like one of the best champions in the game,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
agree.
also like their big comfort champion, but we just gave it to them because we didn't see it as that big of a problem.
Like, well, Velos is gonna lose lane anyways, so I mean.
Wait, we won lane. Second game we did.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
What do you mean?
I gotta
was
flame
like,
Velos. It's what
Well, no,
it's
we
what
all
I-
flame Velos, but like
it's what
if
I
you
do.
if you flame our lane, you're flaming me too, dude.
That's true. I'm sorry,
He
Ibram. I
honestly
take it
needs
back.
to change his name to Velwin.
So, Ibram, how good is your Tarek? Because they banned it like every
Dude,
game,
I
and
don't know.
know why. You don't know. See, I was telling
like,
you, there's no reason to ban Tarek.
Look, first, I'm a good Tarek. I'm a good Tarek. Like,
I believe you. I'm
but,
just
like-
saying, there's no Tarek that good.
no, but like, I'm never gonna pick Tarek into Rakan and freaking what's it called, Nami. Like, I'm gonna pick Tarek into Nautilus, into Leona, and something like that. But like, there's just no reason to ban it if you're gonna pick those champions.
Gotcha, yeah. What about your Yumi? Do you think that was worth banning out?
Yeah, that's Yumi's broken, dude. My Yumi's broken. Nobody knows about this yet, but my Yumi's broken.
Alright, so,
Alright.
Matt, walk me through why you feel that Ornn needs buffed.
Oh my god.
He just doesn't do enough damage to objectives. I think as you saw, like towards the end, I was able to get a number of hits on the Nexus, and it's just not fair. You know, other champions could walk up and hit that Nexus as many times as I did, and probably destroy it. So I mean, the real question is, why, Riot? Why won't you buff Ornn?
I've always thought it was a weird thing about Ornn that his E doesn't do damage to structures, but destroys, like, player-made terrain. It always seems super
exactly.
weird. Like,
Yeah,
I can destroy a wall that Anivia made, but not one that
I was
is
That's
made
how.
of
That's
stone.
it. That's what you need to do. To buff
I-
Ornn, make him Rift Herald. That's all I'm
Make
asking.
his E like a
To make it
miniature
balance.
Rift Herald where if the charge hits a tower, it also just chunks the tower.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but it's spammable. Lower the cooldown.
Exactly.
If you hit a structure, you lower the cooldown on the E, so that
But
way
you
can
lose
use it
health.
more.
You take damage.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah,
what
so,
Yeah,
so
like
half your health bar.
take that
I mean, that's a little-
take
I
that
mean,
200
come on,
years
man.
of game
Dude,
design.
at that point, just put Ornn in freaking Baron Pit and just leave him there for the game until
Just leave him
somebody
there.
gets him.
We'll come get you later if we need
Just
you.
come tag me in.
Yeah, whoever like kills the Ornn first has him on his team.
So hey, I have a question.
hmm
Rom, why did you have lower vision score than other people on your team?
Which game? Morgana?
Game 2.
Okay, so here's what I hate when my team goes 3 sweepers, dude. Because when they go 3 sweepers, like I have to place the vision in like very easy spots. So I'm placing down the vision, but like it's more defensive vision because I can't place down offensive vision. Because my team doesn't have the defensive vision down. So
Wait, did you say
I'm
the
not-
Morgana game?
yeah, did I apparently get less vision
No,
score?
yours is 20 higher than the next
No,
person on your
yeah.
team.
I was watching it and it, up until I
Wait,
just
yeah, I'm the highest person in the entire game, Cody.
hold
What
up.
the heck?
And you had like 30 vision scores, and all of a sudden it spiked. So shut up.
Yeah.
I
It
never.
can be,
Dude,
go ahead, sorry.
even my Yumi game. You know how hard it is to put vision as Yumi. You know how hard it is to tell your team to go over there so you can put vision as Yumi. But even that game, I was the highest vision score in the game, I think. But like that last fight, I had no clue what Ornn was doing. He was just like 1v5ing there. And I was like, no, he's like, dude, I'm gonna end the game. I'm like, how are you ending? I can't come and help. Like, he's taking on the entire enemy team on his own. I guess just that's our top laner's mentality.
Alright.
The stone play was probably the funniest part of that whole game. When he just pressed
Dude,
like a
he couldn't
key and
die.
his health bar was 9,000, just
He
hitting the
couldn't die,
Nexus
dude.
for like 3 damage per auto.
I did it just for the memes because I realized at one point I'm not getting out of this and I'm not destroying this Nexus. So
Might as
let's
well
see how long
enjoy
I
it.
can last.
Dude, he took so long that I had time to break the entire inhib as Morgana.
Well, I
getting
mean,
those autos through.
well, you know what the solution to this is, right?
What?
You do what you did do to Mordekaiser. You give Orin's autos like damage based on his armor or whatever instead of AP. Bam.
Honestly, if at the end of the game when I was backdooring, if the Mordekaiser focused the minions instead of me, they probably still would have been able to stop me before I destroyed the Nexus.
Dude, does their Mordekaiser know that you can still hit Nexus if you're in his ulti?
It wasn't me that did any damage to the Nexus though. It was the fact that there was 2 super minions that just started whacking it. I didn't do any damage to the Nexus at that point. It was just that he couldn't see the minions anymore, and he didn't do any damage to them. And they just were hitting the Nexus for free.
All right. Well,
Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and kill the stream because I have a place I got to be, but I would like to congratulate Without Equal on their series win here, and thank Cody and Axeman for joining me on the cast, and for the Dolphins Esports Club, and Without Equal, and our broadcast here tonight. Have a good night, everyone.
See you next Thursday.
GG.
Horn pick